Yeah. My clothes. Hate this stuff. Listen, there's not much I can add to what's already been said, except I understand a lot of the people here have got different opinions about this thing behind us and that thing in front of us and the 1900 Constitution and where everybody's rights stand under various ensigns. If I can, I'd just like to help clarify the statements that we've been saying here this afternoon, where we get the authority to say it from, okay? And just clarify a few of the little bits of bullshit that you've been told over the years. When Arthur Phillip arrived in Sydney Cove, it is said by the Attorneys General here, and the Crown's claim is that when he arrived here, he took radical title and sovereignty by sticking the Union Jack on a stick in the ground in Sydney Cove. The first problem with that piece of history is that the Union Jack wasn't even created until 13 years later, even though they depict it in all of their pictures about first arrival. It wasn't even created till 1801. And if they did take radical title and sovereignty in 1788, it questions the entry to the Judge Advocate General of the First Fleet, Captain David Collins' journal, on the 16th of July 1796, 8 years later, when he wrote in his diary that he just had a conversation with Bennelong, who explained to him how the tribal people to that day maintained their hereditary title. Okay? And bear with me, because this is all going to lock together and it's going to change your perspective on every piece of history you've ever been taught. Then what happened was, say for example, in 1836, 23rd of February 1836, King William IV issued the letters patent to establish the province of South Australia. But in the letters patent there was a proviso, and the proviso was that the settlers were not to interfere with the native people's peaceful enjoyment of their own estates. So obviously, they still hadn't taken radical title and sovereignty across the continent at that stage. So that's a couple of bumps on the radar. There's a whole heap of documentation to support they never took sovereignty. 1872, the Westminster Parliament created an act called the Pacific Island Protection Act. It had the effect of stopping slavery in the Pacific and the Pacific Islands, and if anybody knows how to read the act, they will also understand that it refers to other places, and in the definitions in the act they refer to the other places as meaning the Australasian colonies. So it also stopped slavery here according to their own statute. But in 1875, to clarify that, Queen Victoria made an amendment to the Act, and in section 6 of the amendment she made it patently clear that the settlers here were not allowed to exercise their jurisdiction or practice their law against the tribal people. She also, in section 7 of that amendment to that Act, under the title The Rights of the Tribes, it was stated clearly that the Crown could not extend or construe to extend sovereignty or dominion into the Pacific Islands and other places, or the Australasian colonies. Now, when the Constitution was created 25 years later, they were bound to a set of rules called Halsbury's Rules. Now, Halsbury's Rules very clearly state that they cannot amend a law to take away from its initial intention, only to strengthen it, and that they are not allowed to usurp the sovereignty of any other people and vice versa. So when they created the Constitution in 1900, Section 5126 of Section 9 of the document we presume is the Constitution, it states that they could not make laws for people of the Aboriginal race. The reason for that was they had to comply with previous law, hence the Pacific Island Protection Act Amendment 1875. And in Section 127 of the Constitution, they removed this section because that said that they couldn't count us as part of the population of the Commonwealth or any part thereof. Now, in 1967 there was a referendum, and a lot of people think that that was when all the blackfellas come under the Crown. Didn't happen. What happened was smoke and mirrors. They knew that they were not the sovereigns. They knew that they don't have ownership or title over the land, and in that case they don't have any claim or right to govern you at law, because the sovereigns are here. So what they did was they threw up a smoke and mirrors campaign And they amended section 5126 of the Constitution to remove the section that said they could not make laws for us. And they removed the entirety of the section 127 where it said that they could not count us as part of their population. But they couldn't replace those two amendments with a positive statement because they didn't have the consent to capture the sovereigns. Okay? And to say they could count us, they would have to have our consent, which they didn't have. No, sorry. So what happened was in 2007, we were out in the Central Desert. Some law people gave us some instructions, which was to get all the mobs together, explain the true facts relating to all this, and bring the tribes together to stand down the government. So what we've done is exactly that. In 2010, when we formed the original Sovereign Tribal Federation, the first order of business was we sent out, under the hand of the law people there, we sent out a notice to the Crown, like the Queen, everyone underneath them, Ban Ki-moon, the US President. We sent out a notice stating very clearly that the tribes are not recognised in the Crown's Constitution and we don't recognise them. Now, the whole purpose of that was because legally the term recognise doesn't mean to see and to acknowledge. It means to enter a contract with it. Anybody who has been in the slightest bit of trouble with the law and had bail would know that they get a self-recognizance or a self-contract between yourself and the court, or particularly the magistrate. Well, 6 weeks after we gave a notice that we're not bound to their law because there's no recognizance between us, Julia Gillard came out and publicly stated that they needed to amend their constitution to recognise us and bring us under their law, or to enter a contract with us and bring us under their law. So we led them down that path. We even suggested to them the R symbol for their program. So what we did was we ordered a couple of million stickers, just clear round stickers the sizes of the badges that they were going to make. And they had a round circle with a slash through it, a red circle with a slash through it. And we organised some screen printers. So when the government printed up all their shirts for their recognition campaign and were handing them out through their electorate offices along with their badges, we were going and getting them all and putting the clear sticker over the top with the red circle with a slash through it and screen printing over the top of their R with a red. They paid for us to wake the people up. And every time they called a recognition party around the continent to bring all the mob together to bullshit to us, we used that to bring us together to tell the truth. So, but at the end of it, I'm going to hurry up. The end result is that on the day the Parliament issued or introduced their recognition bill and said that they wanted to recognise us, putting that line in the sand between them and us, we served a declaration of nationhood and self-determination into the Parliament and declared to the world's press that was there and everybody else that no, we don't want to contract at this stage. We're happy being the sovereigns and we're about to come and get you. That was the 13th of February 2013 at 3:13 in the afternoon in that building behind us. And when they tried to bully us out of the building, they tried to, because all the press then wanted to talk to us, they tried to get us to go out through the back door, and we made it patently clear to them that we came in through the front door of this place. This place is on our land, and we're going out through the front door, thank you very much. So, from that day forward, we've been able to demonstrate this difference between them and us. And the only reason we're doing it, we're not saying that's a difference between you and us, just the same as there's a difference between you and them, there's a difference between them and us. That filth that goes on in there has got nothing to do with us or our law or our land, and the time's come to get rid of it. But we can only do it together. We, the 2%, have the authority. You, the 98%, have the weight. We can't do it without you. You can't do it without us.
I'll just finish on one quick statement. Charlie, my father, gave me the name Larapan. It's that long, straight, white cloud. That's to talk straight, so I'm going to talk straight now. This country is governed by, as we know, a fictitious corporate entity. We hold the power. Right now, they've been kicked out of Africa, the globalists, right? They've been kicked out of there, and they're losing their resource land that they've been sucking on for a long time, while they've been sucking on here too, right? But now they're coming here for the lot, and they don't care about you. They've never cared about us, but now you know they don't care about you. through these fictitious mandates, right? They're even willing to kill our children. That says it all. There is no return from. Once you say you're going to hurt our babies, there is no return for you, right? We cannot remain under a corporation that is willing to harm our families. Now, there are agents in here that uphold it, right? And most of them are at the top. There are lower ranking police officers, military officers, and bureaucrats and politicians that I'm sure are with us. And a lot of them tell us they're with us. They just can't speak. We are the ones that have to shift them. We can't wait for them to change things for us. They are going to sell this country out. They've already done it, right? I shared just a YouTube clip recently showing all the hotspots they set up in the territory were places that they couldn't get mining deals in. And they went in and they smashed the communities, men, women and children, because they've already sold off the land. They've already done the deals, even with the tribes saying, no, we don't want any business here, we don't want any fracking, we don't want any mining. They've already signed the deals. That's not just in the territory, that's across this country. So if we think that this corporation is oppressing us, wait till they hand it over to foreign powers that have immunity, because they've already passed laws 2 years ago that any foreign power or any domestic military have immunity for against any crimes under a Biosecurity Act. And they're currently signing those acts over to the World Health Organization and to the UN. So we're going to be dealing with foreign military soon, not these guys with cap guns. So we need to get our shit together. We need to stand together, or we're going to lose the lot. And they're not going to care about us. They're not going to care about you. They're not going to care about what's lawful. They're going to come and take what they want, and that's the resources to prop up their fictitious fiat currency system that's dead and gone. And right now they're scrambling to steal your house, to steal our wealth, so they can keep their scam going. What we're saying is this: we own the resources, the tribes. All right? We own the only law that has standing here to give you something safe. We are asking you to walk with us, stand under something lawful, right? Don't worry about all this money crap, right? We can create currencies ourselves, all right? And we can look after each other, and we can keep the wealthy, and the globalists can go and get lost. And we look after each other, and we look after our children, and we look after the water and the land and the air. And as the older ones of the generations and the ancestors to come, we know our babies don't. We understand we need to stand up. We need to do what we need to do to protect their future. That's right. And that's for all of us. Forget about your colour, forget about your race, your religion, your political affiliation. Just man, woman, protecting all these children. We need to stand together, because if we don't, it's all gone. This is the moment. There is no time. We are not in the last hour, we're in the last seconds. And those filthy globalists are coming for the resources on land that they don't own. We can push them back. But like Brother Gunham said, we're only 3%. We need 97% to stand with us, walk with us, take our freedom, and free this country from this tyranny.